Some disasters arrive with noise, shouting, fighting, chaos. But the most dangerous ones arrive quietly, disguised as honesty. They begin with a simple thought, a harmless sentence, a moment where you believe the world around you is safe enough to hear your truth. And that is how it starts. Not with betrayal, not with cruelty, but with trust. Because when life feels calm, when people smile, when nothing seems wrong, we forget something ancient and essential. Not everyone who listens is your friend. Not every ear deserves your truth. This story is not about secrets. It is about timing. It is about restraint. It is about the heavy price paid when words are released into the wrong air. What you are about to hear did not begin as a tragedy. It began as a peaceful day on a quiet farm where nothing seemed capable of going wrong. And yet, everything did. The farm rested at the edge of the land, far from crowded roads and loud voices. Every morning, the sun arrived slowly, stretching golden light across open fields. The soil was rich and dark, the air clean, the silence comforting. Nothing rushed here, nothing demanded attention. Life moved at its own patient pace. The animals knew this rhythm well. They woke with the birds, they ate without fear, they rested without suspicion. Among them was the ox, strong, dependable, and trusted by all. Day after day, the ox pulled the plow without complaint. He worked longer than anyone else, spoke less than most, and never asked for praise. His strength was not loud, it was steady. The farm relied on him. And because he was trusted, he trusted others easily. Nearby lived the goat, curious and sharp-eyed. The goat talked often, observed everything, and knew how to listen in ways that made others feel understood. When the goat nodded, it felt like agreement. When the goat smiled, it felt like safety. There was also the rooster, who announced every moment as if it belonged to him. He enjoyed attention and believed information was only valuable once shared. And then there were the others, quiet sheep, wandering hens, creatures who listened more than they spoke, absorbing the energy of the farm without interfering in it. On the surface, everything worked. Trust moved freely here, words flowed without fear, thoughts were shared without caution. No one felt the need to guard their tongue. Because nothing bad had ever happened before. The ox believed that honesty created unity, that openness built respect, that speaking truth was always the right thing to do. And in a place where mornings were gentle and nights were calm, that belief felt unbreakable. But farms, like people, have unseen currents, and trust, when given too freely, becomes fragile. The ox did not know this yet. Standing beneath the open sky, breathing in the comfort of routine, he carried a small thought in his mind. Nothing dangerous, nothing rebellious, nothing meant to harm, just a thought. A thought that did not need to be shared, but soon would be. And once spoken, it would no longer belong to him. The thought did not arrive loudly. It did not demand attention. It did not feel dangerous. It came the way most life-changing mistakes do, softly, almost politely. While pulling the plow one afternoon, the ox felt it settle in his mind. The soil was heavier than usual, his muscles strained more than before, and for the first time a quiet question formed behind his steady breath. What if things could be different? Not easier, just fairer. The ox had worked longer than most. He had carried the heaviest weight. He had never complained, never delayed, never refused, and yet he wondered if anyone truly noticed the effort that held the farm together. It was not resentment, it was not rebellion, it was curiosity. A single thought asking for air. The ox told himself it meant nothing. He continued working, letting the sun slide across his back as the day stretched on. But thoughts, once born, rarely disappear. They wait, they grow patient, they look for a place to land. By evening, the thought felt heavier than the plow. As the animals gathered near the fence to rest, talk filled the quiet. Small talk, harmless talk, stories about weather, food, and the coming season. The ox listened. And then the goat spoke. The goat always spoke easily, comfortably. He had a way of leaning in, lowering his voice just enough to feel sincere. "You've been working harder lately," the goat said casually, eyes half closed. "The farm leans on you more than it should." The words felt like recognition. The ox paused. No one had ever said that out loud before. The goat continued, softly. "Sometimes I wonder if things could be arranged differently, not to disrupt peace, just to balance it." The thought stirred. It felt safe now, shared, understood. The ox hesitated. His instincts whispered caution, but comfort spoke louder. After all, this was a peaceful place. These were familiar faces. What harm could honesty do? So he spoke, not boldly, not carelessly, just enough. "I was thinking," the ox said slowly, choosing his words with care, "that perhaps someday the work could be shared more evenly." The sentence was small, but once spoken, it stood between them, alive. The goat nodded, understanding carved into his expression. No disagreement, no alarm, only quiet acceptance. And in that moment, the ox felt lighter, relieved, unaware that relief is often the first step toward regret. The goat did not respond immediately. He simply listened, and that, more than words, made the ox feel safe. Silence can feel like agreement when we want it to be. Finally, the goat smiled. "That makes sense," he said gently. "You give much. Anyone would think the same." The ox exhaled. Validation is powerful. It convinces us that our thoughts are harmless and correct. They spoke a little longer, but the subject drifted away naturally, as if nothing important had been said. Laughter returned. The evening settled. The farm breathed peacefully once again. But something invisible had shifted. That night, while the ox slept, the goat lay awake. Not angry, not excited, just thinking. Words are strange that way. They do not stay where they are placed. They echo, they transform, they search for new ears. The next morning, the goat met the rooster near the feeding area. The rooster was already talking, as usual, announcing dawn as if it were his creation. The goat listened for a moment, then spoke casually, almost carelessly. "It's interesting," the goat said, "how much weight the ox carries alone." The rooster's eyes sharpened. "Mentioned?" he repeated. The goat nodded lightly, as if the detail were unimportant. But details, once released, grow teeth. The rooster laughed loudly. "Different how?" he asked, already preparing to repeat the idea elsewhere. The goat did not elaborate. He didn't need to. Silence, when paired with suggestion, invites imagination. By midday, the rooster had shared the idea, not as it was spoken, but as it was remembered. By evening, others had heard it, not as curiosity, but as dissatisfaction. No one returned to the ox for clarity. They didn't feel the need, because the idea now felt larger than its source. And the ox, strong, quiet, and unaware, continued working as he always had, believing the farm was still what it had been yesterday. Peaceful,
trusting, safe. He did not know that his words had already begun walking without him, and once words learn to walk, they rarely walk back.
Words are not loyal. Once released, they do not remain faithful to their source. They change shape. They collect meaning they were never meant to carry. By the second morning, the ox noticed something small but unfamiliar. Conversations stopped when he approached. Not abruptly, not obviously, just enough to be felt. Laughter softened, eyes shifted. Silence arrived sooner than expected. No one accused him, no one questioned him, and that was what made it unsettling, because suspicion does not announce itself. It settles quietly. The rooster moved across the farm with his usual energy, but now his words carried something extra: importance. He spoke in lowered tones, then loudly denied doing so. Each retelling added emphasis, emotion, and certainty. "He's tired of carrying the load," the rooster told one group. "He thinks the work isn't fair," he told another. "He's been thinking about changes," he whispered to those who liked to listen. Each sentence was close enough to the truth to feel believable, and far enough to become dangerous. The goat listened more than he spoke. When asked directly, he answered vaguely. "Maybe he's just thinking," he would say. Or maybe he wants more than he's saying. And maybe was all it took. By midday, the story had grown legs. It no longer belonged to the ox. It no longer even resembled him. It moved independently, feeding on curiosity, shaped by fear, carried by those who wanted to feel informed. The sheep began to whisper. The hens repeated fragments without context. Each listener filled the silence with their own assumptions. No one asked why the ox would feel this way. No one wondered how much he had given. They only wondered what he might do next. And still, the ox worked, unaware that his silence was now being interpreted as confirmation. Because when words travel without their owner, silence becomes suspicious. By the third day, the thought had transformed into a belief. Not proven, not confirmed, but accepted. The farm leader, a large, old bull who rarely interfered, began to watch the ox more closely, not with anger, with caution. Caution is heavier than judgment. The bull noticed how the ox paused more often, how he looked up before pulling the plow, how he breathed deeply before continuing his work. Normal moments now reinterpreted. Everything became evidence. The ox felt the weight of eyes on him. He could sense the distance growing, like a widening crack beneath familiar ground. Finally, he approached the goat, not to accuse, not to defend, only to understand. "I feel like something has changed," the ox said quietly. "Did I do something wrong?" The goat met his gaze calmly, too calmly. "Sometimes thoughts are heard differently than they are meant." The ox frowned. "But I never meant—" "I know," the goat interrupted gently, "but once something is spoken, others decide what it means." The words were true, and that was the cruelty of them. The ox walked away with more confusion than before. By evening, the bull called a meeting. Nothing dramatic, nothing direct, just a reminder about loyalty, about gratitude, about knowing one's place. The ox stood among the others, hearing lessons meant for him, but never addressed to him. And in that moment, he understood something too late. The farm was no longer reacting to what he had said. It was reacting to what it believed. Misunderstanding had hardened into truth, not because it was accurate, but because it was repeated. The ox lowered his head.
He had spoken once, others had spoken endlessly, and now his voice, once strong and trusted, meant nothing at all. Because in a world where everyone talks, the one who stays silent is already judged.
Trust does not break all at once. It fractures quietly, in pauses that last too long, in answers that come too late, in eyes that no longer meet yours. The ox felt it everywhere now. The plow was still heavy, but the ground beneath it felt different, not harder, colder. The farm had not changed its shape, but it had changed its spirit. Quests came with hesitation, instructions came with distance, gratitude disappeared entirely. Where once there was ease, there was now evaluation. The ox noticed how the bull stood farther away than before, observing instead of acknowledging, how the sheep clustered tightly together when he passed, lowering their voices as if silence itself might protect them. No one accused him, no one confronted him, they simply adjusted. And adjustment is often rejection disguised as politeness. The ox tried to speak less, hoping calm would return, but silence did not repair the damage, it deepened it. Because now his quietness was no longer strength, it was interpreted as resistance. The rooster began announcing rules that had never existed. "Work must remain balanced," he crowed loudly. "No one should believe they deserve more than their role." Each announcement felt like a public reminder. Each reminder felt like a warning. The ox wanted to explain. The words gathered behind his teeth, heavy and urgent. He rehearsed sentences while working, clear, honest, careful. But when the moment arrived, doubt stopped him. Would explanation help, or would it only give the story new pieces to grow from? He remembered how one sentence had become many, how honesty had multiplied beyond his control. So he remained silent. And silence in a suspicious place sounds like guilt. That was when the ox understood the cruel paradox. Speaking had caused the damage, not speaking now confirmed it. Trust cracked further with each passing day, and once trust cracks, everything leaks through. The price was not paid all at once. It came in small losses. First, the ox was relieved from certain tasks, not as rest, but as restriction. For balance, the bull explained, for harmony. Then decisions were made without him, plans discussed elsewhere, futures designed without his presence. The ox watched from a distance as life continued, functioning, organized, efficient, without his voice. The farm no longer needed his honesty, it needed his obedience. One night, under a sky stripped of stars by drifting clouds, the ox stood alone at the edge of the field. The land he had worked for years lay quiet before him, and for the first time, regret spoke louder than strength. He replayed the moment again, the goat's calm nod, the comfort of being understood, the relief of speaking. He realized something painful. He had not spoken because the thought demanded it. He had spoken because he wanted validation. And validation, when misplaced, becomes betrayal. The ox lowered himself to the ground, exhausted, not from labor, but from carrying a truth that no longer mattered. Honesty, he learned, is not about truth alone. It is about timing, about audience, about consequence. Not every truth needs to be shared. Not every thought deserves air. Some truths protect you only when they remain unspoken. By morning, the ox would rise again.
He would work again. He would obey again. But something essential had been taken. Not his strength, not his discipline, his innocence. And innocence, once lost to misplaced honesty, never returns.
There comes a moment when explaining becomes pointless. Not because the truth is unclear, but because the listeners have already chosen what they want to believe. For the ox, that moment arrived quietly. He stopped trying to correct what had been said about him, stopped measuring his words, stopped hoping that clarity would save him. Instead, he began to watch. He noticed how the rooster spoke most when authority was near and fell silent when responsibility appeared. How confidence in words did not translate into effort in action. He observed the goat more carefully now. The goat listened just as attentively as before, nodding at new voices, agreeing without committing, collecting fragments of thought the way others collected grain. The ox saw how easily the goat adapted his tone to match whoever stood in front of him, how understanding was offered without loyalty. And he watched the sheep, quiet, nervous, easily led. They repeated what felt safest to repeat, not what was true, but what protected them from standing out. The ox realized something essential. This was never about his thought. It was about how words move through people who fear uncertainty. From that day on, he spoke only when necessary. His silence was no longer defensive, it was deliberate. He let others reveal themselves, because when you stop explaining, people stop pretending.
Truth has a strange way of arriving. Not dramatically, not with apology. It arrives late, when it can no longer change the outcome. Weeks passed. The workload increased. The farm felt the absence of the ox's full strength more than it expected. Small inefficiencies became larger problems. Confusion grew where coordination once existed. The rooster spoke loudly, but nothing improved. The goat suggested ideas, but took no responsibility. The sheep waited for direction that never came. And slowly, without announcement, understanding began to form. The bull noticed the cracks first. He saw how plans collapsed without follow-through, how effort had been replaced by talk, how the ox, quiet, distant, obedient, still carried more than most without complaint. One evening, the bull stood near the field, watching the ox work in silence. No accusation, no praise, just observation. The truth did not need explanation anymore. Others began to feel it too. Not enough to apologize, not enough to undo damage, but enough to recognize regret. The goat avoided the ox's gaze now. The rooster spoke less when results were demanded. The sheep lowered their heads in quiet shame. The story that once moved so freely now felt heavy in their mouths. And that was the final lesson. Truth does not rush to defend itself. It waits. But when it arrives, it exposes everything. The ox did not celebrate this moment. He did not seek recognition, because wisdom had taught him something deeper. Being right does not restore what was lost. And silence, though powerful, cannot rewind time.
Life did not return to the way it was, and the ox did not expect it to. Some losses do not demand repair. They demand understanding. The farm eventually found a new rhythm. Tasks were adjusted. Voices grew softer. Rules were no longer announced loudly, but followed quietly. The chaos born from too many words had taught its own lesson. The ox remained. He worked, he listened, He observed, but he was no longer the same. When others spoke around him, he did not rush to agree. When ideas were shared, he did not add his own. And when trust was offered too quickly, he accepted it slowly. One afternoon, a young calf approached him. The calf spoke eagerly, without caution, words tumbling over one another, plans, dreams, frustrations, the same kind of innocent honesty the ox once carried. The ox listened without interruption. When the calf finally paused, expecting advice, the ox spoke only once. "Some thoughts," he said calmly, "are strong enough to change your life. Those are the ones you must protect. Nothing more." The calf nodded, not fully understanding, but feeling the weight of the words. The ox returned to his work. No announcement, no lesson delivered loudly, just wisdom passed quietly. Because true lessons do not need witnesses, they need time and silence.
This story is not about a farm. It is about workplaces where words travel faster than truth, families where honesty is misunderstood, friendships where trust is given too easily. It is about the moments when you feel the urge to explain yourself and the wisdom to pause instead. Not everyone who listens is on your side. Not everyone who agrees is loyal. And not every truth needs to be spoken. Your words are power. Once released, they no longer belong to you. They belong to interpretation, to memory, to intention that may not be your own. Silence is not weakness. Silence is protection. Silence is observation. Silence is choosing peace over regret. So before you speak, ask yourself, does this person need to know? Or do I simply want to be understood? Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say nothing at all.